Imagine you're on a team of investigators tasked with solving a gruesome double murder that has shaken the small town of Zipaquirá, Colombia. The case is known as Francia vs. named after the two victims, a mother and daughter duo who lived in a rural area of the town. As you begin to dig into the case, you'll realize that nothing is as it seems, and the truth behind the murders is far more sinister than you could have ever imagined. It's a chilly winter evening in February 2019 when the bodies of 21-year-old Marcela Giraldo and her mother, 46-year-old Maria del Pilar Hurtado, are discovered by a neighbor in their home in the rural area of Zipaquirá. The neighbor had grown concerned after noticing that the family's dogs were barking frantically and the lights in the house were still on despite the late hour. Upon entering the house, the neighbor is met with a gruesome scene. Marcela and Maria del Pilar are found brutally murdered, with signs of a violent struggle and no signs of forced entry or robbery. Marcela and Maria del Pilar were a close-knit mother-daughter duo who lived a simple life in the rural area of Zipaquirá. Marcela was a shy and introverted young woman who worked as a secretary at a local school, while Maria del Pilar was a devoted mother and wife who managed the family's small farm. The two were known for their kindness and generosity, often helping out their neighbors with various tasks and chores. However, beneath their idyllic facade, the family was struggling financially, and tensions were rising between Marcela's father, Pedro, and Maria del Pilar. On the evening of February 25, 2019, Marcela and Maria del Pilar are at home, watching TV and preparing dinner. Pedro, who had been out running errands, returns home around 9 p.m., only to find the front door locked and the lights off. He assumes that the women have gone out for a walk and decides to wait for them in his room. However, as the hours pass and the women fail to return, Pedro becomes increasingly anxious and decides to check on them. That's when he discovers the bodies and alerts the authorities. The investigation into the murders is led by the Colombian National Police, with the support of forensic experts and psychologists. As the police begin to process the crime scene and collect evidence, they notice that the murders bear a striking resemblance to a string of unsolved killings in the area. The police suspect that the killer may have been someone close to the family, possibly even a family member. As the investigation unfolds, Pedro becomes the prime suspect, and his alibi for the time of the murders is called into question. However, despite mounting evidence against him, Pedro maintains his innocence, claiming that he was in his room the entire time and had no involvement in the murders. The police also discover that Marcela had been receiving threatening messages on her phone, which leads them to suspect that the killer may have been someone who was stalking her. The case takes a dramatic turn when the police discover a hidden safe in the family's home, containing a cryptic message that reads, "You will never find me." The message is believed to be from the killer, taunting the police and gloating about their crime. The police also discover that the family's farm was facing financial difficulties, and Maria del Pilar had been in a dispute with a local businessman over a land deal. As the investigation continues, the police uncover a web of secrets and lies within the family, including a hidden affair between Pedro and a local woman. However, despite the mounting evidence, the police are unable to pinpoint the killer, and the case remains unsolved. Today, the Francia vs. case remains one of Colombia's most infamous unsolved murders, with many theories and suspects emerging over the years. The case continues to captivate the public's imagination, with many wondering what really happened on that fateful evening in February 2019. As you reflect on the case, you can't help but wonder, what secrets lay hidden behind the idyllic facade of the Giraldo Hurtado family, and what really drove someone to commit such a heinous crime? If you're intrigued by the Francia Verus case, be sure to follow us for more updates and analysis. In the meantime, we'd love to hear your theories on the case. Who do you think was behind the murders, and what motives do you think drove them? Share your thoughts in the comments below.